Hey gang, Sally here. Hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day. My day is much better than it was yesterday, and I'm going to tell you all about my worst travel day ever and how I can still make lemonade out of lemons. Before we roll the intro, just a quick reminder, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, helps out the channel a lot. And if you think you've subscribed, double check to make sure you still are, because YouTube has been spontaneously unsubscribing people. While you're at it, watch all the way to the end, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. Even if the only comment you leave is an emoji or CFYT, which stands for comment for YouTube, that'd be cool as well. And again, it really helps out the channel. Here's the intro, let's get into it. Okay, so this is my front skylight. A truck went by me about, I don't know, half an hour ago, and all of a sudden my blind started flapping. It was down before. And then when I stopped to dump my tanks, I checked it. Can you hear the squeak? Can you see it moving? Yeah, it's come unsealed. So I'm here at Sweet Home RV Center. Hopefully they're going to be able to get that resealed for me today. We'll go find out. Well, as it turns out, they couldn't reseal it. They looked at it and said that it's sealed like an automotive windshield, and I needed to go to an auto glass shop to get it resealed. However, they graciously climbed up on the roof and duct taped it to the body of the RV. Sorry, I've got people going right by me. And so, I thought that was going to hold me for the next like 3 weeks, and hopefully I could get something done about it. The short version of this is, during that time period, I was in the same place for about a week, and I made all kinds of phone calls locally and along my intended route of travel, and people basically just laughed at me and said, yeah, no, we're not going to touch that. And the couple that said that they might touch it said, yeah, we're like 3 to 4 weeks out before we can even, get a look at it. So that obviously was not going to work for me. So I just let it be taped up, went on about my business, figuring everything was going to be fine. Stay tuned. Okay guys, so RV life is not always rainbows, unicorns, and butterflies, and this is one of those days. I have done everything getting ready to leave from this lovely campground here in Nevada, and I went to pull my hydraulic leveling jacks up, and 3 of them came up. The 4th one did not. And one of them, not the one that was not coming up, one of them was leaking hydraulic fluid all over the ground. I called an RV repair place in Elko, which is about 10 miles away, and they said if we can get the jack up, then the next thing we need to do is tie all 4 of them up, because they could fall in transport, and then get in there and let them take a look and see what's going on with my hydraulic system. So I have a feeling this is not going to be the day that I thought I was going to be having. So that puddle is all hydraulic fluid leaking from that jack, and the one on the other side wouldn't come up, but the guys from the park got that big block and a giant pry bar, and with it running they were able to get it up. So here we got Dan.
Yeah, hi, how you doing?
And down here on the ground we got David. That's his best side.
David, a smile.
Not from that angle.
There he is.
So Dan's doing the supervising. David's down here doing the work. And these fine gentlemen have been such a savior to me. All that hydraulic fluid down on the ground. And David's pretty smart. He said after he gets this 3rd one tied up, he wants me to pull forward so he doesn't have to put his head and all the hydraulic fluid to tie up the 4th one. And then I'm going to go visit the RV shop in town and hope they're going to be able to get this addressed for me. That's what I'm hoping for. But at this point, I am really grateful these guys happened by. They work for the park here at South Fork Recreation Area. I always have to think about where I am, because I'm never really sure. And yeah, so could have been much worse. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I got to the shop in Elko about 12:40, 12:45 in that neighborhood, and I walked in. The gal behind the counter asked me, what was up, And I gave her the brief explanation. Heard the service manager say to her, well, tell her we might be able to get a look at it on Friday afternoon. This was Tuesday at lunchtime. That really wasn't going to work for me. So I kind of sidestepped over and I said, hey, I understand you may not necessarily be able to, fix me right away, but can we at least take a look at this to see whether or not it's something you're going to be able to handle? So she said, okay, go ahead back out to your rig. I'll grab a tech and we'll come out and talk to you in just a couple of minutes and see what's going on. I'm like, okay, fine. I go back to the rig. I wait a couple of minutes. And I think, well, let's just go ahead and make lunch. I made lunch. I ate lunch. I cleaned up my dishes after lunch. So like 35, 40 minutes have gone by at this point. So I went back inside and the gal at the front desk called the service manager on the phone. She was no longer in her office. And the service manager told her that she was on her way out to my rig with a tech right now. And when she came out, she was very apologetic. She said, I'm sorry, I completely forgot about you. Not what I would have said to a customer, but hey, whatever. I was just glad they were there at that point. As it turns out, the jack is completely busted. It needs to be replaced. And the tech did confirm that I was tied up adequately to be able to drive. So that was good news-ish. So I got back on the road. I had been planning about a 5-hour drive day, and I was still ambivalent at that point as to whether or not I was going to be able to do it, because it was now like 1:30 in the afternoon. So that meant, best case, I was going to be, finishing up at about 6:30 or so, which of course is not how it turned out. Here's what happened a little bit later in the day. So remember that Skylight problem I was having at the beginning of this video? Well, it's back. I was driving along, minding my own business, and I heard the blinds getting sucked up against the skylight again. And I was on I-80, basically in the middle of nowhere. Couldn't really do anything about it. Let me show you my lovely view while we're here, though. Couldn't really do anything about it. There was no place to stop, and even if there was, I didn't have any way to be able to do anything. I slowed way down. I slowed down to 50 miles an hour and an 80 mile an hour speed limit on I-80 going west across Nevada. And I finally reached Fernley, where I was going to get fuel. I stopped at a Love's, and I was hoping that I might find some kindly looking athletic gentleman to get up on the roof and tape it for me again. As it turns out, what happened was the tape that was on the outside that went on a couple of weeks ago loosened up, and that's what allowed the Skylight to start flexing again. So I bought a roll of duct tape and I put some on the inside. I had this made in Mexico last year. Pretty cool, huh? Just thought I'd share. So I put some on the inside to try and address this situation. I got about a week before I get back to Southern California, at which point, I believe, I have a local shop that's going to be able to address this for me. Let's get a little kit cam. There we go. At the end of the day, let's make lemonade out of lemons, right? I mean, I've had a bunch of stuff go wrong. As it turns out, I didn't get to this campground until dark last night. I spent a lot of time looking for boondocking in this general area, in fact in the same recreation area, but because I can't use my leveler jacks, there was no place that was level enough for me to just be able to stop. And by the time I finally found the developed campsite, I pulled in and found a site pretty easily, thank heaven. There were probably half a dozen open, I think, last night, and they're pretty full today. I think there's like still two or three that might be open. And I've seen some people like leave and other people come into their sites. The good news is the jacks are tied up, so they're not going to fall down and I can drive. So that's good news. The Skylight is taped. Hopefully it's not going to attempt to fly out again. And all of this is reinforcing for me the difference in choice of rig for full-time RV life compared to traveling part-time going on vacation. And that's all good, because I'll say it right here, I've been talking about it, I am looking for another rig There are some things about Isaac that just really aren't working for me as a full-timer. But that's okay. I've got plenty of experience with it. I've got plenty of time. And in the meantime, we're going to deal with what we've got. So enjoy the lemonade. I know I am. And here's where I wound up and the picture out my bedroom window this morning. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and always remember to sally forth, live your best life, go out and adventure in whatever way works for you.